Um, oh, quick time it is. Click on player.
Maybe a new screen recording.
Huh?
File new. New screen recording, I think. And see if it does audio as well.
There's an audio recording as well. Would we maybe do both?
Maybe the movie is through your camera. That would be the only
Oh, that's
difference.
true. Okay. New screen recording, new audio recording. So if I start the audio first, I can sync up the video later.
Well, I mean, you just got to edit the couple seconds it takes you to click both.
Yeah, that's true. And
Click full screen.
hmm.
Make sure you're not recording just one window, because when you click the screen recording, you can record the entire screen or
Yeah, I think it's recording the whole thing. Yeah.
confuse yourself by putting the recording of your screen up on screen.
Yeah. Okay. So does it work? This is. Oh, I think it only did 8 seconds. Okay, so I have to start again. Okay. Screen record.
There's a message. Just click record.
Okay, so it's this, and so I can stop this. Stop this nonsense. Don't save. Okay, so what did you say this message would pop up?
So when you hit the record button, it's going to
Okay.
whoa.
So I just stop. Oh, I click to start. That's good. Okay. Hey, Mikey.
Hey.
Cool. It looks like you are the only one that's going to be remote, because Oka and Michelle want to see the finished product and not the workshop. So, cool. So so I sent around a link and dev links for GitHub project. We both have it now. Mikey, did you get a chance to check out the branch start?
Yep, I checked out the start.
Cool. And Anthony, you're on there as well?
5,000 tabs open. There we go.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I guess we'll start by looking at, I should close it.
Before we start our stream.
Right, so if we go ahead and take a look at, if we look at master,
Oh, should we be in master?
yeah, we're gonna look at master real quick and just look at what we got. I'm sharing my screen, right? Or you just see my face still?
I can see your face.
Okay, so I need to. Share my screen. Yeah, I can see my screen.
I can see your screen.
Cool. So there's a few things in this directory. I'm going to start with git ignore. So if we open up git ignore, these are just a few things that we're going to be not looking at in this repo. I'll get into more detail about these later, but you don't have to write this. I generally just copy and paste the same exact git ignore in every project that I have. But the big things are node modules, which will be built when we start an NPM build on our project.
Yeah.
Those, like, NPM is already basically a source tracker, so we don't need to do that again. SAS cache is a caching mechanism that SAS uses to compile faster. Already. Okay. So then if we take a quick peek in our grunt file, we're going to be doing a few things today. We're going to do auto predictor, just get that into here. We're going to be building our JavaScript library with concat, and we're going to be minifying that with Amplify, which is down the page a little bit right here. And then we are also going to be doing a SAS setup for both dev and prod, so you can kind of see how options work. And then we're going to be setting up a couple tasks which will help us in writing our, or in our builds, which will be leveraging watch, which we see here. And then as a bonus, we get to it, we'll be going over how SVG sprites work, or at least how SVG store builds an SVG sprite, which we can then use.
Cool.
And then our tasks are at the very bottom. This whole block with register tasks. We'll get to those in a little bit. So other thing, I have a boilerplate package.json file. This one is just the one that I'm using for this Git project, but once we get into start, you can change all of this to be whatever. The important thing in this file are the dependencies, because that's how we tell Grunt, or that's how we're going to tell Grunt what plugins to pull in.
Right.
So we go to our terminal and going to check out start. Which is basically all of those files just blank. Much of this stuff should just disappear. Right, so grunt is empty. Package.json, we can start by changing these things. So I'm not going to change any of this, but you guys can feel free. After we do that, we're going to do an npm install. As a note, you should be in a terminal window that is in the directory that in this root directory. So if we do an npm install,
Okay.
these errors. Just
And we're still on master?
no, we're gonna do start.
I'll change that to start. Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't like the name.
Yeah, that's fun because
Special characters.
I am from the space.
Invalid.
So the name should not have brackets.
Yeah.
Dependencies. Let's see what happens. Cool. Okay, cool. So you should get this output telling you that npm has installed all of these things. And if we go into Finder, you can see that node modules is here, and it has a bunch of stuff. And as you might imagine, this is why we want to have the git ignore this, because there's a lot of stuff in there. Right, so we need to start grunting things. So we pop open our blank grunt file. You can actually go to gruntjs.com and kind of see how they do their boilerplate. They offer a they have like a sample grunt file that we will be basing our work on. So gruntjs.com. Get started. On the sidebar, we have a sample grunt file. And it's this code right here. I'll take this in, drop it into a code editor of choice, and I will walk us through what this says. So module exports is basically just what you wrap all of your grunt code in. It's a function, so you can do whatever you want, but what you could do is a function in JavaScript. And init-config is where we're going to be configuring all of our packages, and then after that, we're going to start registering our tasks. So let's start with concat. So
where did you get that example grunt file? From the getting started page?
gruntjs.com.
Oh, /sample grunt file. Okay. Not from getting started. Much better.
Cool. So there's actually a helpful link on the sample grunt file page for grunt config concat, which is how we're going to build our JavaScript, which leads to our GitHub page, and this GitHub page has usage notes on it. So the first thing we'll want to do is create, in the config object, we want to create a key for concat, which is an object, comma, and then inside of here, there are a few options for various things. We don't really need much. If you go down to the very bottom with usage examples, there's a code block which can get you started. So where it says dist in this example code block, those are basically just submodules of concat, which we're going to use when we're running our tasks. So right now we're just going to have JS. And then inside of here, we're going to name our source and where it's going. Source is an array, and you can start feeding in files in the order that you want them concatenated. So what I tend to do is actually if you open up assets in our repo, I guess this is a good time to talk about file structure and how I have things organized. So assets are basically where we're going to have all of our SAS files, all of our JavaScript files, all of our CSS or SVG files, both in and out. So in are the workable files that we're actually going to be editing, and out are the compiled assets that Grunt is going to build. The important thing here is that in git ignore, we're actually ignoring out and everything inside of it, because it creates a lot of headache to have compiled assets in repositories, especially when you're working with other people, because you end up having like merge conflicts literally over your compiled assets. Plus, we're building them in grunt, so it just removes the possibility that someone's going to edit the files and then that gets edited. So looking in, specifically the JavaScript, the way I generally organize the files are by vend, which are third-party files. The biggest example would be jQuery. Legacy, which is like your old stuff, and app, which is there are no files in here right now, but if we wanted to colon jQuery. Let's download jQuery.
Will you just paste that link in the chat, please?
Sure.
Thank you much.
So down here we have jQuery, the leading edge of jQuery. And we're going to drop that into assets in JS vend. Okay, so that is in our repo. For bonus points, you can actually manage your vend stuff via Bower, but for the sake of brevity, we're not going to get into that right now. So if we're going to build our cat config object, we're going to have src, which is where Grunt will be pulling these things, and then we have dest, which is where the file should go, and that string is just going to be a file path relative to the grunt file. So grunt file generally should be in your project root. There are times when that is not the case, specifically with WordPress, but that is a whole other workshop. So we can set up our dest first. So it would be, go back to our finder, it would be
My
assets. What's up, Mike?
My in folder just has the SAS directory. Do I need to do a grunt build or something? Or
No, push that up. So yeah, in the in folder, make a JS file.
okay, go ahead and make it. Got it. Yeah.
And then inside of that, create an app, a legacy, and a vend.
Okay. I didn't know if they should be there.
So we're going to set up our concat config. Our destination is going to be assets out JavaScript, and then we'll just call it app.js. So assets and out. And then in our source, this is just going to be an array of files, or of file paths. So assets and vend. Yeah. Copy this file path first.
Yeah, you don't just use star.js. Yeah, there you go.
Not star.js. We'll do that in a second. Generally with vend, because generally when you're dealing with, if you name a specific file, that means that you don't want to also glob in that same directory. And since jQuery is generally a dependency of a lot of other things that might be in Ben, you're going to have to, you're actually going to explicitly name the order of anything in Ben. So anything after Ben, you're going to have to specifically name in your source. So, jQuery.ui or something. Obviously, that's not in the repo, so we don't want to have that. But then our next one would be assets in JS. Then we would do our legacy. Then we would do our star.js. So Node has a very, or NPM, Node and Grunt, I guess, have very useful function called plotting, where you use the asterisk to denote basically anything that matches, basically anything that's in legacy with a JavaScript. You can use with CSS or SVG, doesn't really matter. You can also log subdirectories, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But if you're just focusing on SRC, yes, I think you can change that setting, but by default it does authenticate. And it starts with social characters and 1-0. So then we're going to do our app. So now we have an order. Basically, we have our order of how JavaScript will be built. And basically, the rule from here is that you want anything that is a dependency of anything else on top of that. And then we're basically assuming that anything that's in app or in legacy does not have a dependency that is in that same directory. So if you have something if you have a file that is a dependency of something else that you have in app, you don't want to have it logged because it's not guaranteed that that thing is going to be loaded before. Right, so we have our concat. If we want to make another one, we actually just make it and basically something. For this, for any other, you can refer to the GitHub page for there are some very useful things in options, including whether or not to banner, which I've done on, I think if you go into master, there's an example of how to use options for creating a banner for basically labeling which file is which as you go through. So next up, I guess we can check to see if that works. So run grunt concat JS. That's how you specifically call in the init config. So if you're trying to call a subobject of your base config, you do so with a colon. So if we do this, we can get an error. Concat.js is not found because we forgot to load our task down here. So something that's kind of tricky about Grunt is that you name all your stuff in the config. That doesn't typically load any of that into Grunt to make it available to the CLI. So in order to do that, for every every plugin you have to load it with Grunting. It seems counterintuitive, it is, but there's a better way, which I will talk about a little bit later. So you should that here, save it. Right. So now if we go to File, Out.js, App, go to Assets, Out.js. We have app.js, which and nothing else because if we add another thing into app, say so if we just make a random file in assets in JS app, I'm just doing an example.js, and then we open the just make a comment on it. Go back to ground. We run JS again. And, yeah. Well, we're going to move along because I'm going. So that's how you write options. Or to the readmes for the Git repositories of whatever Grunt plugin operates. Most of them are written pretty well with options and that's not enough in there now. We're going to just write a quick task. So down Grunt extra task. So by default, if you just pass in 2 arguments, first is the name of the task, and then the second is an array of tasks, of subtasks that you want to run. So for default is reserved as a name, which is just doing grunt itself. So right now we ran grunt, but we want to do concat.js. Similar syntax to what we did in the command line. But if we want to do a JavaScript, yes, and then if we want to do something fancier, like if we wanted to watch our JavaScript, the way you do that is you go to the documentation page for Grunt register task. So if you go to gruntjs.com, creating tasks gives us a pretty decent rundown of how to do things. I should also say that this array can hold a string of other tasks. So in this case, we could do concat.js, and then the next one would be maybe JS. Or that was a better way to handle watch. A lot of people will have watch as its own task, but I'm not necessarily a fan of that. Like it's basically just saying watch everything and compile it. there's a better way that's a little bit more discrete. So Grunt has something called options, which I will get to in just a second. But if you do you register multi-task. So if you pass it 3 options, it's going to look for the name, the description, and then callback. So we're going to do that for JavaScript. So so the description will show up if you do grunt -- help case. We're concatenating JavaScript. And then if we want to watch it, pass -- watch to our JavaScript to continuously build as we develop. And then in our function, we have a callback. And this way, we're going to have to start manually calling the tasks. So in this case, grunt run task. And in this case, the same thing, register task, where you're calling you're simply passing an array of tasks to run. So, but if we want to make this watch parameter, we would add we would start looking for our grunt options. Option. If we go to gruntjs.com using the CLI, it's basically like a man page of all the different parameters you can pass. But then, what is that? Is grunt dot option. So the way that I like to do this is to set a task list at the very top of our callback. So this is the array that we're going to build on. So instead of running one task concat.js, I have a task list up here. JS. And then if we wanted to use our watch parameter, we would do if an option watch. Because by default, Grunt will see a guess as a parameter that you want to pass. And then this is the name that you would use. So if you're on option watch, we're going to push a new task in our task list. Push. We haven't named watch.js yet, so let's go to watch and do yes. So Grunt Config Watch has a few options, but the ones we're going to be using are files and tasks. We're going to watch everything that's in assets and JS. And then this is where we use that plotting, like Mikey was talking about. So If you want to watch all subdirectories in a directory, you can do */ and then *JS. So this statement by itself will mean that you can't have JavaScript files in this directory. You would actually, if you wanted to watch all files in this assets in JS directory, you would add another one to the end of the assets. That's it. And then the task we want to run, right now we just have concat, so cat.js. So then in our task, we would do grunt run task, task this. So let's see if that runs. So I would do grunt give us more helpful output. So it's loading cat. JS. I have to so do grunt. Let's grunt that. That one. It's grunt.task.run, which will run everything that's in our task list. So if we pass watch now, it's our app.js, and then now it's watching. So if we go back to our assets, we edit our app.js. Save it, it watches our file and rebuilds it down here. So that's how to write custom tasks where you can use options at the same time. Do you guys have any questions about that?
What would be the advantage? I don't know the answer. What would be the advantage of or JS and CSS versus a
So mostly the advantage is just that you're specifically compiling the stuff that you're working on. So if you're just doing JavaScript development and you have just a generic watch function, and you happen to be working in a repository that has a really, really big SAS repo, every single time you run watch, or every single time you save a JavaScript file, everything is being rebuilt. And sometimes that can get infuriating. It's much faster, and it's much more to the point. This also makes it so that you can be building multiple types of JavaScript. So in one of the projects I'm working on right now, I have an analytics suite that is a separate file, which is built by passing another new grunt option analytics. Oops. That, and then the use of that would be, oh, by the way, if you want to stop watching something, you can just do Control-C to stop the process, and that brings you back to just regular format. But the usage of having another option like that would be grunt JS analytics, and so now that would run anything that's in concat under analytics. I generally also have my default be the same kind of thing. So by default, and then in here I do the same thing. So var task list is but for default, I would also have my SAS, so SAS or whatever. Another cool thing about having your tasks separate is that if you want to test your JavaScript how it would be compiled, you can do that as well by either passing an option to your JS task or by building another task entirely called production. I generally do production because then I can test everything as it would be output between the production server. So if we do prod, even in our task list, we would have concat prod, and then SAS prod, and so on. And then in our options, I wouldn't necessarily say you should have a watch per prod because that's like a one-time thing. But at the very end, you have your running task list as well. It's actually important to have, with this workload, it's important to have a production task of some sort, because if we're ignoring all our compile assets, you're doing this grunt. Like you're going to have to run some grunt process when you deploy your code to the server. So what whatever you're doing to actually build and push up your code is going to be using. Does that make sense? Cool. Running out of time. Sorry, I kind of went a little slow.
Question about folders and services and other stuff forward like that.
Sure.
Mikey.
Hey, Mikey, do you have any questions about directory structure or something like that?
Last week about like practices.
Mikey, you there?
Say what?
You there?
Yeah. The audio is coming in a little choppy.
Sorry.
That's all good. Trying to keep up.
Any questions?
No, I'm doing right.
Like file structure or how to organize a project or anything?
We're good.
This is definitely good for a world. So, figuring Batman with one, custom thing is good. Another thing I would think of, I mean, you can kind of infer how you can have a SaaS out of this as well. So.
Yeah, so if you guys with master that has a fleshed out version of pretty much everything we just went through, but it also goes in like it has a fleshed out version of the production task that I was talking about. I included that's framework that I use pretty much on other projects. I call it Shoelace. So if you go to my but how I would organize SAS if you want to play around with that and look at it. Also, in here that I didn't get a chance to talk about would be SVG and templates. But we can talk about that at another date.
I would shell into to write the one SAS compiling part to its function to see how they get compared to it.
Yeah.
That to write to compile SAS without compass because they compile. Right. Okay, this is really good.
Cool. Yeah, I guess homework would be to look at grunt contrib SAS. I will paste that into this chat real quick. So this is generally the SAS task runner or the grunt plugin that I use. There's libsas, which is another compiler, which is faster because it uses C, but it's not compatible with the latest versions of SAS. So some of the features in S3, 3.6 don't drive. Maybe do you see the link that I posted?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Okay,
yep,
so cool. I guess would be to take a look at which and write your own SAS task in the same vein as this JavaScript task. A couple of things to note: if you use the start branch, I made a couple SAS errors. So if you want to practice SAS with command line output, you can use the start branch if you want to do that. Yeah. That's right. Oh, one last thing. I had kind of talked about this load npm tasks DS. So there is there's a node module called grunt. I think it's called. load. So this is basically, well, it is an answer to the idea that like every single time you have a task that you want to add to your grunt, you have to do it. Instead, it just require and pulls in the load grunt tasks npm module and then tells it what to find. So we go into here and that. And then a quick trick for adding things to your node or your packages. You can either manually add them by opening the package.json and just adding it. So blah blah. Or you can do it via command line by doing npm install and then the package, but then just pass the flag of save dev. And what that does is implies that you want to keep that in your repo with your package JSON. So if you hit enter, it's going to spin for a second, and it's going to grab it.
Very nice.
And it added a dev dependencies for the grunt tasks. So yeah, if you wanted to do dash, yeah, like Chuck said, if you wanted to put it in dependencies, you dash save. I'm not too clear on major differences between
the difference between things that you use dev, the difference between things that you did not want in production. So like Bower maybe, or
sure.
Watchmen, or things like that.
Right.
Things that you don't necessarily need on the production server, but
right.
you need on a development server.
Right. So that is the one sweet trick that I promised you guys. So yeah, that concludes the presentation.
Sweet.
Hopefully this was helpful. I'm around to answer questions.
I wanted to do a bolt to Grunt, so this was super helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, I use Grunt a lot of different production knowledge. And so very wonderful.
Yes. 3 dudes and a little work computer.
That's maybe a little intimate.
Yeah.
That one is here.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So